Alright, so what we're going to learn a little bit about today is Sway. Sway is another form of presentation software that is completely free through Microsoft. As long as you have a Microsoft Office account or just an account through Microsoft. This Sway that I'm presenting here right now is one that I created for one of my courses, and the nice thing about it is Sway is nothing more than a series of cards, kind of like an index card, and it moves at that specific rate of that card. So at the very top it gives me my theme of what I'm talking about. In this case it's theme of geometry. When I move down, or just by hitting the down arrow, it brings me to my next specific card, which is going to be our journal topic in this case. And I can add any type of text that I want that relates to that specific topic. But the most important thing that I can do is I can actually add pictures to demonstrate our locations. It's very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, but instead of following a traditional, waste time of transitions, I can just incorporate a slide up and down. I can also slide these images from left to right if I would prefer to go that route. Now that we've kind of seen exactly what Sway has to offer in terms of what it looks like, I want to show you a little bit about how to build these. So I'm going to move out of the presentation mode. So I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm just going to click on this little pencil. This is where I can edit everything. This view that's showing up right now just gives you a general preview, so you don't actually have to go in and play the slides, but it just gives you a preview of what you have already inputted. Anytime you're going to go and add something, you want to go to the storyline, and you do that just by clicking on the storyline. Now, just like before, like I was saying, if you notice anything with these, they kind of have nothing more than just a series of like index cards where we can add whatever text. And if you look at over here at the right, or excuse me, on the left, you have a bunch of little drag and drop menu pieces. Now this is kind of like Weebly, where you can add, any type of informational piece that you want just by dragging it across. So you can even go in and you can add slideshows or comparisons. You can put different stacks of these cards in there and put them in groups. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down to the bottom just to show you kind of some of the cards that I've created and how they all look. And I'm going to develop a couple of them for you so you can see how this goes. Down here I actually tried this as a test, but I actually embedded a video that would be played the same time as or shown right next to a picture or a caption. And then all I had to do to complete this is just drag the embedded code over here from this side, bring it over, and then find whatever embedded code I want to use. Like this case I used YouTube, and everything was good to go. Now in terms of pictures, the nice thing about Sway is you can create anything that you want for your own pictures. Down here at the very bottom here, this is a picture that I created for a previous class as a demonstration, and I'm a big person with snippet, so I would create whatever image I want and then snip that from like Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel if I want to do it in that one. So here I'm going to drag this text box down. Now, as I said before, you can do a lot of different things when you're entering these texts. And let me click back into this. You can emphasize different text that you're writing about. I'll click on the emphasize and highlight that. And let's just say that this will be our test for using Sway. And then I can also highlight this information. Not only am I going to emphasize it, so it should show it as like a bolded piece, I'm going to do some form of an accent with it. And I'm going to click off from it. Now, when I space down to my next piece, you notice how those kind of go away. But I can actually add links or bullet numbers and bullets to this and kind of change the flow of how this pattern works. Now, the only downside to Sway is that I cannot stack cards side by side. So I have to use some form of a tab or a shift to transition pieces across. Mainly, I believe what I did on mine was just use the spacebar and try to line it up the best that I can. Now that we kind of seen exactly how to edit some of these cards, let's go into the design view of this and see what we can do in changing the overall background pieces. Now when you click on design, you can either customize your own Sway cards. I believe I did this with this particular project or presentation, but they also have some different preset ones, and you can kind of see, they're geared towards education. Some of them are deals a little bit more with some kids, or different times of the year. Like if there's one down here with birds, and I'll just click on that one, and then I'll exit out, and then I'll go back to preview and just see what it did for this specific PowerPoint or presentation. Not really PowerPoint. Let's see if it loads anytime soon. If not, we'll go back. Okay, it's not really loading. Well, while that's loading, I want to show you one other piece, which is called the navigation bar. The navigation bar allows you to change different ways of showing this presentation. You can show it as an individual card mode, where it's one card at a time, or to optimize the presentation. Or you can do a horizontal scroll, which will allow it to scroll from side to side or straight up and down. Okay, that picture loaded, so let's go back to that here. But before I move on back to that picture, make sure that you understand whatever is best for your students. Honestly, the horizontal one I found to be better for creating storyboards, because normally they move in a horizontal pattern. For my notes, things like that I've used, I like the vertical scroll. So now that we've seen what, I'm going to keep my thing set at the vertical scroll, but going over here to preview, you can see how that changes the entire background and how these different pieces show up in terms of the regions, and it just adds a little bit of spice up for the students. Okay, now let's go back to Sway itself, and we can take a look at the very beginning. I got a couple other things I can show you, so I'll try to go to My Sway. Now, when you're in My Sway, you can either just create blank documents from new pieces, but if you already have a Word document or a PowerPoint or a PDF, you can import that information in to a Sway. Now, right down here is a section on Alexander the Great where I had discussion questions. Let me open this up. Alright, so this is a Sway presentation I created for one of my Alexander the Great sections that I've taught in my past. And what I did is I had discussion questions, and just to make them easier for my kids to follow as we went through them, I was able to just upload this file, which was nothing more than a straight text file, from a Word document. Now, I did add some photos to help with this, but for some reason they are not loading right now. So I wish that you would see them with there, but they show images of Alexander the Great himself. And I just used this picture piece here and dragged it across, and then it will, when I did that, and I'll show you with what that does, when you click on Add Picture, you can pick, or you can go ahead and search sources from the internet to get the information that you want. Now, one thing I want to stress, make sure you add your caption in for making sure that everything is, cited correctly. Now, the thing that I've found, students actually enjoy this a little bit more than PowerPoints, because it allows them to get back into the game. It allows them to move kind of at their pace, because I can adjust the slides differently. And I mean, since I do use a lot of snippet, I've used this for a math class. Just create the images that I want and go from there. Snip them out and put them in, and then I can talk about them. In terms of a lot of productivity tools, there's not a lot with this, but it just changes the viewpoint of the students, so they're not too many times we use PowerPoint. I think we overextend its use, so this allows them to get back to a straight index card. They talked about how this is great for storyboards, creating a quick little story and put them in their order and how they all fall. But it can really be used for any class, and you've seen how I've used these for my history courses. But one thing I do want to stress is that this way, like I said, is free. You just have to download it. If you have Office 365, it's a great user tool for Office 365. Hopefully this helped you with learning a little bit more about Sway, and thanks for your time.